The mistress of illusion and a pair of master violinists make sure you're present for the playlist.
Funding for the playlist is provided by the citizens of Minnesota through the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund.
She works in opera, the theater, and ballet, engineering magic as she goes. Ann Gumpper artfully sets the scene. Her hand-painted original drops and curtains add drama to all kinds of productions, and she makes it look easy.
People are usually surprised that we paint on the floor. They picture us crawling around on our hands and knees, and I wouldn't do that for very long. I enjoy painting down because just my style is a little wetter and a little looser, so I like to use the gravity to keep things on the canvas. Well, I'm Ann Gumpper, and I am a set designer for theater and ballet. We draw it in with charcoal, and then I draw it with felt pen. Sometimes I use aniline dye, which will show through the paint enough for me to see it as I'm going. So that's how I know where to put things. So it's kind of a little bit of a paint by number, which is why you have to be very gestural when you actually get the color on there, because you don't want it to look like a paint by number. But it's a real process, it's a craft. So it's not, you don't just stand in the middle of a big white field and start painting. So for Midsummer Night's Dream, for instance, I knew that we were going to use the Giselle backdrop.
And I said, can you add to that? Can you make that backdrop come alive in a different way to create the forest for Midsummer Night's Dream?
I show the director how things are going to look, because it's very difficult to say, well, it's going to be kind of purple.
Suddenly this set piece that was for a different ballet, a darker ballet, a ballet that is very from the Romantic period, now becomes this bright Shakespearean comedy atmosphere, you know.
You know, when you're working on this kind of scale from a little drawing, a lot of things happen in this level that you know, didn't happen in the smaller version. Then you really don't need to design it. Perspective on what you're doing when you're working really big like this on the floor is one of those things that just takes a lot of experience and a lot of running up to the balcony to look down. I'm looking to see if it looks good. And I also want a good strong shadow on one side, so I want to make sure I've done that. My job as a set designer is to create an emotional environment that can support the meaning of the play or the message of the play.
When the dancers get on stage and they're in that environment, it changes the whole thing.
I was studying art, and I took one theater class, a little seminar class, and it came very naturally to me to just keep going with it. I think the thing that I loved about it was how collaborative it is. And that's still what's fun for me, is working with other people to figure out what their vision is, how my vision fits with that. And it's really a different kind of art because of that.
You'll see Ann's work in March when the Minnesota Ballet stages A Midsummer Night's Dream. In December, you'll see her designs when the Lyric Opera of the North stages Amal and the Night Visitors, and also in the production of Man of La Mancha at the Teatro Zuccone in Duluth. She is one busy designer. And you know what? I bet all of these productions are familiar to the two of you. Bob DeArmond, Executive Director of the Arrowhead Regional Arts Council, and Samuel Black, also with the Arts Council.
Right.
Thank you both for being here, because you have had a hand in supporting all kinds of great art.
Yes, we have.
So thanks for coming over and telling us about it.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So first of all, give me a sense of the mission. What is the purpose of the Arrowhead? That's a tough question.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm going to capsulize it. I think it'd be easiest. We're a grassroots funder for the 7 counties that make up northeastern Minnesota. So we fund small arts groups. We fund artists in the region. We're really trying to get arts activity out throughout the 7 counties. We're trying to get art into as many little communities as we can, either through artists being funded or arts organizations being funded.
Now, through the playlist, we've had a chance to meet a few of the artists and the arts organizations that have been benefited, I think, already. And as we look at those images, tell me a little bit about the common denominator. What is the common theme or thread? Is there a stereotype, or is there a way to describe that?
I don't think so. I mean, we have programs that fund a wide variety of things. You know, we have an art project program that funds, I would say, the more established groups in the Duluth area that are everybody from Lake Superior Chamber Orchestra to Lake Superior Writers, Arrowhead Chorale. And then we have a rural program that funds groups out throughout the region. And there we're looking at groups that have impact in their communities. So they're community theaters, they're small musical groups, they're small presenting series, that kind of thing.
Watercolor workshops.
Yeah, watercolor workshops.
Like
it's a wide, it's a very wide range
in the area, and so we get a chance to get money into the hands of people in as many communities as possible.
I can ask you the really hard question, and this is the why does art matter? That is truly, I mean, it seems like a really obvious question, but at the same time, what difference does it make in the life of a small community?
I think it allows for a stretch. I really do. Art at its best certainly makes us seem a lot larger than we might otherwise seem to be, and I think that's very healthy.
Well, and it's how we pass on who we are to the next generation. You know, it's how you carry on your traditions. It's how you carry on your cultural background. It's how you leave something behind for the next generation. I mean, if you look back at history, you know, we don't know a lot about Rome, but we know a lot about Rome's, art. And the same with Greece, same with a lot of...
Same with all of that music and art from the 19th century.
Yep.
We have all of that, and we lose a lot of what happened in the buildings.
Exactly, yeah.
But it gives us that window. And I think that because both of you have been involved in collaborative art forms, be it theater or music, it does bring a community together in a different way, too.
Absolutely.
Yep, very definitely.
So the Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund, State of Minnesota, the voters of Minnesota said, we have confidence that we're going to invest in the arts, and the playlist is a product of that. The Arrowhead Regional Arts Council is also one of those beneficiaries that in turn gives it out to those people who are doing great work in our communities.
It expanded a lot of what we were able to do. I mean, it didn't necessarily give us this great big pool of money that we never had before, but it allowed us to take a lot of the programs that we already had and make them effective again, because we'd been cut for many years. And it did expand what we were able to do. We're doing educational things which we never were able to do. We just didn't have the funding to do it, so it's been good.
And we're back up to where we are funding in the general range of about 60% of the people who come to us, people and organizations. So that's coming back up.
Yeah, it's a very competitive region. It's, well, as you know now, doing the playlist, it's very, very vibrant. It's a very vibrant arts community. I mean, not just in Duluth, all over the region.
And you say competitive, and I know that you also mean collaborative and inventive and I mean, it's amazing to me how many people are doing fantastic artwork in our communities. Can you gave me a couple of examples earlier about it making a difference specifically to, I think, Icebox Radio in International Falls.
Yeah, they're actually very interesting radio theater that no longer, well, I shouldn't say no longer, they still do radio theater, but they're primarily doing what do they call it? Podcasting over the web now. And so probably 3/4 of their series is all done over podcasts. And so people now in England and all over the world can listen to them doing what they do. And they've gone from an audience of maybe 200 to 300 or 400 in International Falls to serving 5,000 or 6,000 worldwide.
That's
so it's
fantastic.
And recently the Chamber of Commerce people in Cook are beginning to talk about trying to do something in their community too. So there's a community of 600 people that are interested in trying to find new ways of bringing art to the community.
And when you think of the seeds that you've planted all over, it must be rewarding to watch some of those and be in a position to see, you know, some of those grow.
Well, if you look at our region, we have a unprecedented number of arts organizations for our communities, for some of the communities the size that we have. I mean, Grand Marais is way richer in arts activity than they should. All logic would tell you they could either afford or support, and yet they have it. Grand Marais is another one. Duluth, in fact, is one. I mean, for Duluth to have,
For 80,000 people,
yeah, to have
what we
symphonies
have.
and art institutes and ballets and playhouses. I mean, this is way beyond what a community normally that size would ever have.
Well, on behalf of the residents of the North, the Arrowhead region, and all the counties that you help support, thank you for coming in and sharing your story and
We're glad
the
to
work
do it,
that you
yeah.
do.
And people should call us if they have any questions.
Okay.
That's what we're there for.
Well, I'm going to tell them about lots of information on the council and upcoming grant deadlines is posted on the council's website, aracouncil.org. And we'll be back in a minute.
My name is Amy Demmer. I'm the director of the Grand Marais Art Colony, and we are here to share with you about our upcoming Empty Bowls event. We do it here at the Art Colony. We do all the organizing for the events and all the bowl making in our pottery studio. We have all community members come in and make the bowls. I'm Kirsty Vick, and we are painting bowls today. This is just a really awesome way for us not only to bring awareness to hunger issues in our community, but it also is a way to give people a chance to access art, get their hands on the clay, play with mud, paint bowls, glaze bowls, and so it's a really amazing opportunity in a lot of different ways.
My name's Kathy McTavish, and I'm a cellist, and I have a premiere of a work called River Icarus that'll be happening at Sacred Heart. Well, it's new for me, but I'm hoping that it'll be sort of an immersive experience for people. So it'll be dark, there'll be film, there'll be improv cello, telling the story of this River Icarus landscape that I've explored throughout the year. It's kind of looking at just the ways that we construct memoir and myth, and the ways a young person constructs sort of a vision of self.
I think it's great to see so many arts opportunities going on all over. Well, tonight at the Duluth Art Institute, visitors got a chance to celebrate the work of Liz James. She's an art instructor at the University of Minnesota Duluth, and she does ceramics in a big way. Take a look.
You have an amazing lake, an absolute beautiful lake, and this is primarily inspired by walking along the lake. The snow is still, like it looks like meringue or marshmallows on top of the rock forms and such. And in my mind, it's a pixelated version of Lake Superior area. My name is Liz James, and we are currently in the Morrison Gallery at the Duluth Art Institute. I requested the Morrison Gallery to exhibit two fairly large installations, as well as what I consider landscape vignettes that reflect the Northland regionalism. The spiral is based off of the Fibonacci spiral, which is a very classic element in nature. You will find that in pine cones and petals and all these elements in nature. I wanted to find a commonality, universal commonality that really embraces the Northland, but as you go closer to it, there's individual components to it, which I wanted that to reflect the true individual that is in this area too. If you look at each of the pieces, there's not only do you have the element of landscape, but I try and put two forms in it. It makes it more personal, it's more of the human element. We have such an intimate relationship with nature here, and I wanted that reflected within the work. I notice uniqueness in this area and such. Just enjoy translating that within the vessel forms.
There are lots of arts opportunities to take advantage of this week. You can see a sampling on our website, theplaylistonline.org. And that's the place you can submit your ideas for the show and make connections through Facebook and Twitter. Our playlist gallery this week showcases the work of Travis Melin. He's a large format photographer, and he has a new show opening November 12th at the Washington Studio Galleries here in Duluth. And you're invited to stop by on the weekends throughout November and see his new work. And now you are in for a treat. Two very accomplished violinists are in the studio. Both direct college-level symphony orchestras and perform professionally around the world. Please welcome the dynamic duo of Aaron Aldridge and Rudy Perot. So much. Thank you for coming in and sharing your music. And Aaron Aldridge, Rudy Perot. First of all, tell me a little bit about the music you just played.
Well, this was written as an Etude Caprice, written by Henryk Wieniawski, Polish composer. It actually was written for two violins, but I decided it sounded just as good on viola. So, but she does all the work and I do the singing.
I think that's fantastic, but you kind of said we have to make sure people know that we've abridged this piece. This isn't the full piece.
This is not the full piece. We had to cut it down just to give you a little teaser for Saturday's performance, where you will be hearing the entire piece.
Yeah, and which uses both sides of your brain a little bit. You have to be able to condense as a musician as well as a conductor, correct?
We just need to make sure it's clearly marked.
No, you both are conductors of symphony orchestras at your respective, Aaron at UWS and Rudy here at UMD. How do you find time to do things like this?
Well, really the short answer is we don't, but we make time because playing with Aaron is such a joy. This caliber of a musician where we can basically throw it together practically. Not much rehearsal time. We don't want to peak too early. So we, but the amount of trust that I have in her and hopefully she in my playing as well, that we can truly just take chances and enjoy playing together.
And I think when you get a chance to do stuff like this is so much fun that we may be tired and we may, have a lot on our plate, which we both do, but it's one of those things you just make time because it's so enjoyable to do.
And I understand that you play classical music, but you also play Haitian music. You also play folk music and other things. So how does that fit into the mix of inspiration?
I grew up, I think again, it's being able to do something on the side and something that's just purely for the sheer joy. It's not, I love what I do, but sometimes you just need to get away a little bit. And I grew up doing some fiddling and some klezmer and stuff like that. So it's kind of a release for me and a lot of fun.
I think one aspect, one genre feeds the other, and there are certain things that will translate very well from from classical to jazz to klezmer to wherever it is, and you learn so much. I'm by no means a good jazz player, but the jazz has certainly influenced my playing in classical music, so I see things a little bit different rather than just a square classical genres.
I have to tease you both a little bit because you are accustomed to leading in your career fields as the conductor. So who leads in this?
We both do.
We take turn.
Yeah.
We take turn.
Yeah.
And the music actually dictates who will be leading, and we both very careful to follow what it says here. If she starts it, then basically she will lead, and then I must follow exactly what she has done, and then another portion, depending on if she needs more time or I feel the music moving along, then I'll move it along, and she'll just follow. And I think it's a very symbiotic process.
You can tell by just the way you communicate, just by the way you move the bow. You can tell kind of where the other person is going with the pause and how that works. And other questions is advice for young people. And any thoughts of if you're a school student, a grade school or elementary student watching you guys tonight, any advice for them?
Practice.
Practice. And practice some more. When you think you've practiced enough, practice some more.
Practice some more.
Yeah.
There is no substitute for it. There are lots of people with talent that sometimes just get by on talent alone, but that only takes you so far.
And it will catch up to you.
It will catch up, exactly.
Yeah.
So practice, practice, practice.
Well,
and have the passion and use the passion and show it.
Well, thank you, honestly, for coming over to show us your passion and fitting us into your schedules today. I'm really excited to let people know that there's a concert coming up this weekend.
Yes, there is.
So while you're getting ready for the next piece, I'll do that. So Aaron and Rudy are playing the full versions of some great violin compositions this weekend, Saturday night at the Sacred Heart Music Center, and that's a fabulous place to hear music. Next week, you'll hear more great music from Sarah Kruger here from the Playlist Studio. You'll meet the heart behind the Crescendo Youth Orchestra and visit an award-winning fine furniture maker in Ely. That's right here on the Playlist. Until then, enjoy your weekend and go out and support the arts. Check out the concert.
Funding for the playlist is provided by the citizens of Minnesota through the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and by viewers like you.